To go yet.
1 minute. I go by my computer.
Go by the clock. My clock says 2:59.
Good evening or good afternoon. Welcome to Crow Wing County's Planning Commission and Board of Adjustment meeting. It's 3 o'clock on June 18th, 2026. Would you please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you have not already done so, would you please silence your cell phones? And if you are online, please make sure you have muted your microphone until you are ready to speak. And please note that this public hearing is being recorded. The first item on the agenda is roll call. Rocky Linamy is not here tonight. John Auger?
Here.
Sue Maskey?
Here.
Andy Larson? Here. And I am Rebecca Best. The next item is to approve the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Madam Chair, we don't need to make any changes to the agenda, but we just want to note that items 6.9 and 6.10 have been rescheduled for the July 16th meeting, so for next month. Items 9 and 10.
Thank you. Any other changes to the agenda or additions? Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The agenda is approved. The next item is to approve the minutes and findings of fact for the meeting held on last month.
Move approval.
Second.
There's a motion for approval and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The minutes are approved. Today we have no items of old business, and now we have 9 items of new business on the agenda. We greatly appreciate your patience with our agenda. And our procedure is when we call your application, you will be admitted to the meeting if you're online, Or if you're in person, you'd please come to the table at the front and have a seat and state your name and address for the record. Then we will have Nicolette read your request into the record. We will then give the applicant an opportunity to add any new information that has not been previously submitted. After that, we open the request up to public testimony. Today, we have 2 public testimony opportunities. One is here in person and the other is online. If you are online and wish to speak to an application, please use your hand icon to indicate to us that you wish to speak. Then once you are admitted, please unmute your microphone and state your name and address for the record. If you're speaking in person, please come to the microphone at the podium in the center aisle. In either case, you will then be given 5 minutes to give your testimony. And we ask that you please do not repeat what someone else has said, and please do not read your emails or letters that have already been sent. Everyone who wishes to give testimony will be given an opportunity to do so. Once we close public testimony, we will not reopen it. We then will bring it back to the applicant to address the items brought forth from the public. Our rules of conduct are please be respectful. For the applicant, this means to sit quietly during the public testimony period, and for the audience, it means to do the same for the applicant as they respond to your testimony. All questions and statements are to be directed to this board or members of the staff and not to the applicant. Anyone that I feel is being disrespectful or not following these rules will be asked to leave or will be disconnected from the meeting. Our decision process. For a preliminary plat or land use map amendment request, we make a recommendation to the county board. For a variance, conditional, or interim use permit request, we make the final decision. We make our decisions based on our findings of fact. To help us do that, we do several things. We do on-site visits where we physically go to the property and examine the site and look at what's being planned. Prior to attending this meeting, we each read every letter and email that is submitted, and we then hear public testimony and we listen to the applicant. I'd like to pause for a moment to let the public know that we do greatly appreciate your correspondence and input. We have all read the submitted comments. In addition to that, we have a worksheet that we use to help summarize the findings of fact. Preliminary findings have been included in the staff packet. Next, I will ask each board member if they have reviewed the preliminary findings of fact that were provided in the packet. Andy?
I've read them.
John?
I have.
Sue?
I have.
And I have as well. Our first applicant of this evening will be Ryan and Nicole Wensman for an after-the-fact variance. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Board. Ryan Wensman, 21550 North Raider Court, Crosby, Minnesota.
Thank you. And Nicolette, can you read the application into the record, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, tonight we have property owner Ryan and Nicole Wensman, parcel number 952-50537. Address is 21550 North Raider Court in Crosby, and this is in Wolford Township. The request tonight, the applicant's request an after-the-fact variance to allow a 0-foot side property line setback where 10 feet is required for a 1,218 square foot detached garage that has already been constructed. This property is located on Rabbit Lake, which is a general development lake with a 75-foot setback. It is on the east side of State Highway 6, north of the city of Crosby. This property is within the Shoreland District and is surrounded by shoreland and residential uses. Your survey is on page 22 of your packet. And let me zoom out here a little bit so you can. So North Raider Court is here. There is some significant elevation kind of dropping down as you come into the driveway. Here is that detached garage that was constructed 4 inches from the property line. In June 2025, the county issued a land use permit for the 28 by 28 detached garage based on a site plan showing it was a 15-foot setback. At that time, staff had used field identified property markers in place of a survey. A survey was completed by the neighbor after the permit was issued, showing the garage sits approximately 4 inches from the actual property line. The setback issue was therefore a result of a permitting error combined with incorrect field-located boundaries, not an intentional violation by the applicant. Noting some of the on-site comments from the board, the site is well buffered with mature vegetation. Some erosion issues were noted around the garage. Concerns exist regarding stormwater runoff toward Rabbit Lake. The garage needs gutters and a compliant discharge direction. Minor vegetation management and brush clearing was also recommended. Wolford Township recommended approval on 4/8/26. No comments were received from other agencies, but the neighbor who performed the survey did submit a letter of support with 2 proposed conditions addressing the brush that was along the property line. If the board does approve this tonight, staff would like to recommend the 2 following conditions. Submit an erosion and sediment control plan to the county by October 1st and fully implement it by December 1st. Best management practices must be in place before any soil disturbance and remain intact until the site is stabilized. Condition number 2, submit a stormwater management plan to the county by October 1st and implement by December 1st or earlier if the project is substantially completed. This plan must meet Article 41 requirements and be in place before the permit expires. I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions from the board for staff? Does the applicant have anything that you'd like to add?
No, not at this time.
Okay. We will open up this request for public testimony. Is there anyone in the courtroom who would like to address this application? Anyone? Seeing no one, I'll turn to online, and I don't believe there's anyone there either, so we will bring it back to the board for further discussion and action.
Madam Chair?
Yes, John?
So it's unfortunate that we have this in front of us.
Yes, it is.
Some of us were here in 2024 when we had a similar situation. And in fact, we worked with staff and got the county board to fairly quickly change the ordinance to require a survey for riparian lots unless the administrator deemed it was not necessary, precisely so we would never be in this position as a board, right? Which I call the rock and the hard place position, right? If we approve it, we're approving something that if it came in front of us based on the ordinance, we would never approve. And if we don't approve it, we probably put the county in a difficult position relative to potential litigation because the property owner proceeded in good faith based on the permit. So I think the point I'd make is nothing about the application that's the fault of the property owner. They proceeded in good faith. The 2 conditions I'm comfortable with because they're the conditions that were in the permit. So you should comply with that as part of the permit. I have a principle that I used in 2024 that I would use again today, which is I don't think the government can punish a property owner for their own mistake, right? I think if we do that, we erode the confidence of people in the government if we allow that. So I'm going to support this because of the fact that, again, nothing was done at the fault of the property owner. And quite frankly, the only disappointment is we changed the ordinance to not be in this position. And we shouldn't be in this position, but here we are. And I think the only reasonable choice is to approve the variance. When it comes to findings, I will have some proposed changes to the findings.
Thank you. Other comments?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I mean, I agree with John completely. I mean, again, riparian lots require surveys. It's not the property owner's fault. It falls back on staff, the county. I think with the conditions 2 that are there, I like to add one because of the erosion issues with that garage and the proximity to that neighboring property, that garage be guttered somehow as part of their stormwater plan. I just want a condition that the garage is guttered to direct any runoff from going on the neighboring property, if, as much as possible. And then the letter from the neighbor addresses two concerns, two items. The trees and brush currently on their property needs to be removed, and I think we need to put it out. I think we should address those two concerns as conditions.
That is removed.
And the woodshed and the firewood currently on the property needs to be moved to meet that 10-foot setback also. If it has, if it hasn't been done, it may already be done, but I think just to lock it in, we need to have those two put in there as conditions.
To reflect that.
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair, just one second. So just to clarify your stormwater, do you want to add it to condition number 2, the guttering to the stormwater
Whatever.
condition?
Yeah, we can add it to an existing condition, but I think it needs to specifically say that garage should be guttered to direct any runoff away from that neighboring property because of the proximity. I mean, we're talking 0.4 of an inch. I mean, it needs to be addressed to prevent. And then if, I'm going to throw this out to the applicant. If there is erosion, and we've noticed erosion on the neighboring property because of the proximity, just a suggestion, we can't condition it, a suggestion that you work with your neighbor to come up with a plantings or something to help with that on their property.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
have,
a suggestion.
I have already worked with members from the DNR Forestry on a planting, only because of that 36-inch storm culvert that comes underneath that road, because that's the real issue.
Well,
That has eroded thousands and thousands of tons of material into that lake.
yeah, we noticed some erosion back there. So I'm just suggesting you work with your neighbor to try and correct that the best way you can.
Any further discussion? Not, can we look at the findings of fact?
Madam Chair, findings of fact are on page 39 of your packet.
And John, you mentioned there were some additions or changes that you'd like made there?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I can get to page 30.
39.
Item 3, the third bullet. That starts out on 5/14/2024. And after the, both applicant and neighboring property owner agreed upon the location of the property line. After that, I'd like to insert language that says, whereas the ordinance specifically states a determination to not require a survey can only be made by the administrator. As in reading the ordinance, that's verbatim what it says. In item 4, the first bullet, in the same way it was determined a survey was not required, I would like to insert the same language after that. In item 6, the language in the first bullet, the approval of this permit followed department policy. I would like to delete that language. And then when the permit in the, later in that same paragraph, when the, was determined a survey was not required, I would again like to insert the language that we inserted in number 3 and 4.
Everyone okay with that? Okay. Anyone else with comments related to the findings of fact? Any further discussion? Hearing none, we can entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I would move approval of the variance based on the amended findings of fact, the survey, the staff report, and I believe we now have 4 conditions, right? The 2 in the staff report and the 2 that Sue added based on the neighbor's letter regarding the brush and the firewood that I believe the applicant's indicated he's addressed, but for the record, we'd put that in as a condition. So that would be my motion.
I'll second it.
There's a motion on the floor, and then there's a second. Is there any further discussion?
Just, Madam Chair, just a quick comment. I'd like to echo John's previous observation about the fairness to a property owner. I just really think that's important for the credibility of this body, that fairness is something that's important to us. So I'm completely.
Thank you, Andy. Further discussion? Hearing none, before we take final action on this application, I need to verify 4 items with you. Do you understand what's being approved?
Yes, I do.
Do you understand the conditions that are required as part of the approval?
Yes, I do.
Do you understand that you must obtain the permits which you already have from Land Services Department before construction, which has already taken place? Do you understand what is being approved tonight is final? Any further changes would be to need to come in front of this board. This means you'd be required to submit a new application, pay the appropriate fees, and provide an updated survey and any other required information. Staff cannot modify or change what has been approved by this board.
I understand.
Okay, thank you. We then will proceed with the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our next applicant would be Steve and Sally Schmitz for a variance. Steve and Sally Schmitz. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please state your names and addresses for the record, please.
Steve Schmitz at 14269 Mahan Lane in Deerwood, Minnesota.
And Sally Schmitz, same address.
Thank you. Nicolette, can you read the request into the record, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have property owners Steve and Sally Schmitz. Parcel number is 502-00637. Address is 14269 Megan Lane in Deerwood. This is in Bay Lake Township, and the request proposes a complete teardown and reconstruction of an existing nonconforming home on Bay Lake. The new construction includes a 1,956 square foot dwelling and a 443 square foot deck. A variance request to allow a 57-foot setback from the ordinary high water level, where a 100-foot setback is required for both the proposed home and deck. This property is located on Hanks Lake, which is a recreational development lake, and has a 100-foot setback. Megan Lane is off of Megan Road, which is north of County Road 18 and west of State Highway 6. This property is in the Shoreland District and is surrounded by shoreland uses. We're going to go to page 49 for your certificate of survey. This is the second survey. Yeah, we can put the new one up. So we did, on Tuesday, we did get a revised survey from the applicant, removing the attached garage proposal and modifying it slightly. So Chris is going to put that up there. The existing home experienced a flooding from a pipe break, prompting the owners to scrape and rebuild. The existing home is 49 feet from OHW of Hanks Lake. The proposed new home will be a similar layout as the existing, with a proposed setback of 58 feet from the lake. Due to the layout of the shoreline, the deck will be 57 feet from the lake. The applicants are wanting to keep the existing detached garage and not construct the attached garage. And this change results in a proposal of 800 square feet less than the original proposal that you have in front of you on your staff report. And I believe that number is, previously it was 2,000 square feet, and now we've dropped down to the 2754. The applicants would like to construct the new home further back from the lake on a natural elevation line to minimize the grading for the construction of the new home. Noting some on-site comments from the board, the property has a large building envelope. The home could be pushed further back from the lake. Neighboring homes are set back further from the lake than the proposed location. The shoreline is stable with healthy vegetation and an existing ice ridge. A comment was received from the township today recommending disapproval. They noted the proposal involves a scrape and rebuild on the property with a substantial building envelope, and they would prefer to see the new home constructed within that envelope. No comments were received from other agencies or the public. If the board does approve this application tonight, staff would like to recommend the 4 following conditions. 1, land use permit be approved by Land Services prior to construction. 2, erosion and settlement control plan submitted at the time of permitting, using best management practices in place before any soil disturbance. 3, a stormwater management plan submitted at the time of permitting and meeting all of Article 41. And then 4, once construction is complete, a final as-built survey be submitted to verify all setbacks. I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for staff?
Madam Chair, if I may ask one question relative to the survey. So the setback isn't changing, and I see the new survey, that's to the house, right? What are the items that are being removed in the front? Are those patios, or what are
Are
those?
you seeing this, John?
Yes, and I'm talking about the survey we received, adjusted, right? It has to be removed. It points to that little jut out on the left, that triangular, I don't know what that is, octagon thing in the middle, and then apparently the addition on the right side says all 3 of those are being removed. And
Yes.
what are they?
Yep, so this is the existing home currently. This is a little deck and steps, and then a patio.
So that's all to do with tearing down the original structure. So it really isn't affecting this proposal. I mean, it does affect the proposal, but that hasn't changed what's in front of us in terms of the variance.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Well, the only thought that I want to add is that the township's recommendation was before the decision to scrap the attached garage and keep the existing garage. So I don't know if that'll have any bearing on anybody's decision, but with the existing garage in place, it completely changes the ability to move back to that 100-foot mark. So, and that was a budget decision, not a please the variance people decision, so.
Thank you. And just to verify, they did not receive the township folks did not receive the new proposal?
No, Madam Chair. We just got this updated survey on Tuesday, and the township had not responded in time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Their meeting was like the 9th or something, so.
That clarification, thank you. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
Okay, then at this time, we will open it up for public testimony. Today, like I said, we have 2 public testimony opportunities. Is there anyone in the courtroom who would like to address this application? Anyone? Not seeing anyone. I don't believe there's anyone online either. So I will bring it back to the board for further discussion and action on this application.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
we're looking at, we have an opportunity here to take an existing non-conforming structure, and there is a large building envelope on this property. I think this new proposal, they can rebuild in that, meeting that 100-foot setback. I mean, I am not in favor of supporting this new structure being located at 57 feet when there is a huge building envelope on this property.
Other comments?
Madam Chair, in prior requests, I've seen, and you know, I'm the new guy on the committee, but in prior requests, it's been pretty much gospel that existing footprint is kind of the standard which we go by. And while I agree with Sue, yeah, there's more room back there. I see that if we're going to start applying that, I would be concerned about frankly, an arbitrary and capricious. Because if you look at the number of other requests where footprint is okay, now we're sort of changing our tune here. And frankly, the fact that the property owner was push it back somewhat, I see that as a positive. Frankly, my concern is going against what maybe unofficially we've said as policy in terms of footprint. And I chatted with my commissioner about this issue, and his view was footprint is sort of the policy. So I'm concerned about switching gears, and I'm in favor of this.
Thank you, Andy.
Madam Chair, if I could just address, I just want to be clear. So there isn't a policy for how we address variances. So we just got to be careful with our terminology. So each lot is evaluated on its own characteristics, its own, all the information on that lot compared to the findings that we have to deal with in state statute that are in the county ordinance. So there's no policy. I think what needs to be maybe discussed or thought about is that when there's been a structure's being added on to, I think in those situations, I think we're seeing that typically for not going close to the lake, that's been something that has been seen more favorable. I think the question on this one that maybe that Sue is bringing up, I think, is that since it's being completely tore down and it's going to be a complete new rebuild, is that different? I think that's the question that's being asked tonight.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So I hear what Andy's saying, and I think the distinction is that you can scrape and rebuild what you have, right? That's what the ordinance allows. When people choose to have more, then it opens it up for the board to review as to whether or not there's a possibility to get more conformance with our ordinance. I think that's the way I look at it. And that's been consistent, I think. We've had negotiations, we've tabled things and had negotiations with people about getting people to move back to better conform to the ordinance. So again, I think we are consistent in that way. Each property, as you say, stands on its own, but we're consistent in the approach that if you want to scrape and rebuild, just what you have, that's allowed. If you want something more and you need a variance, then that's where you come here. And we, again, try usually to see if we can get people to better conform to the ordinance. If we didn't do that, then basically everybody gets to keep what they have, and we keep creeping closer and closer to the lake, and then pretty soon we have to adjust our standards because nobody conforms to them. So we might as well just say, let's change them. So I think I'm with Sue that there's an opportunity here. We've in the past asked people to look at, could they move further back to better, they don't always get to 100 feet, but could they move further back as part of this? And I'm kind of along that line. And again, I hear what you're saying, but that's not inconsistent, I don't think, with what we've done in the past. So that's where I would sit here, and because again, whenever we have a big buildable area, it creates the difficulty of answering question 4. Is the need for a variance due to circumstances unique to the property and not created by the property owner? That's the question we have to answer. And if there's a buildable area where that can go, it's hard to answer that yes. That's the predicament we have. Hard to answer that yes. So respecting, you can scrape and rebuild what you have, but you want more than what you have, I would be desiring to see how do we get that closer to the setback.
Further discussion and comments?
Madam Chair, just a question to the applicants about additional setback. What's your thoughts what's your comfort level on additional versus scrape and rebuild versus rebuild?
Ideally, we kind of felt like we brought it back already, which is better than as it exists. We didn't have a desire to do this. I think it was, I guess, stated in it that, this was our place for 22 years, and not our desire to go this route, but it's full of mold from a water problem, and so we thought by bringing it back to where we were, it would be helpful and appreciated by the county. We are working very hard at kind of building the same feel and look. It's been there since the 40s, so it breaks our heart actually to do what we're having to do to make this work. If we were to say, let's stay within its footprint, and maybe this isn't the place to ask a question, but if we were to say, let's stay within its footprint, but we'd like to remodel and go back, like we're not making it significantly wider, it's about 2 feet wider on each side. It's generally the same shape from the lake. Would an opportunity to go ask for a variance to be put in place for a remodel be an option, in which case the house would still be closer to the lake than what we're proposing? But, so is that a question I can ask you, or is that something for a later date?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. So with the way that the house lays out today, you could replace that in its current footprint. And so you could tear it down.
In its current footprint.
In its current footprint, bring it back up. The problem you run into is that if you want to have any sort of expansion to it, to try to even go back,
Right.
that still was within, let's say that it was maybe that the back of the house was butted up to the 100-foot setback. If you add on, you can add on where the building setback is without having a variance, but because of the location of where you're at today, any sort of addition would need a variance because you're, basically halfway back of where the setback would be of 100 feet when you're looking at that, 57 feet. So I think your options really are to rebuild in your current footprint.
Yeah.
Or to, there's potential that maybe a tabling the application tonight would make sense, and have them go back and see how far back they could be, and come back with a updated version of what you've got, maybe. I think that might be an option that the board might want to consider. Because I think the options tonight are to, obviously they can approve the variance, they can deny your variance request, and then you are stuck in that 100-foot, or they can table it and give you a chance to come back with a different proposal, moving it back, maybe not to because if you move it back to the 100 feet, it's just a straight permit at that point, and you don't have to come to this board. So,
Right.
So that might be an option on the table that the board might want to discuss with you, so.
And to move it back 100 feet, there's a garage in the way of what we'd like to create. So that gets a little dicey for us.
But maybe the idea is to try to slide it back as far as you can and still have the garage there, so you have the space. What would that look like, I think, is maybe an option that the board might want to consider.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So if I understand, this proposal is moving back 8 feet? If I read this survey, it's small, but 49 to 57, right? Am I reading that right? So, and trust me, I understand that everyone wants to be as close to the lake, and I do. I live on the lake, so I get that. But we're also trying to protect the water, and so we're balancing that as we sit here. So I'm hopeful that you're willing to take a look at it, and maybe you can't go back 100 feet, but maybe you can go back significant, more than it is, so that we could be favorable to the request. So I'm proposing the idea of tabling it for a month and giving you a chance to look at that. But if you say, no, this is our proposal, then I'm prepared to proceed, but I'm going to vote no.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I mean, looking at their new proposal up here. Okay, this is where the existing house is, right, Chris?
Correct, the dark lines. Yes,
Okay.
yep, the dark lines.
So if they could move this back, to me, there's room to put all this proposed additions within this building envelope. They may not meet, they're not gonna meet the 100-foot setback from the house. But if they push that house back as close to that 100-foot setback, this part of it, the existing house, most of that addition is gonna be in the building envelope, which makes it, I mean, as it is right now, I could not support this as, support this variance. We're not with that larger building envelope.
So,
I'd like to see maybe what your reaction is to this discussion before we take action as a board.
So, again, I don't know what the protocols are, so I'll ask a question, and if it can't be answered, it can't be answered.
Okay.
It feels funny to me to come back with an idea and say, what do you think of this? Versus, and I guess Sue, you maybe just answered that question. What would satisfy this committee is to allow us to build that, because I think otherwise, I mean, I hear the opening conversation that variances are often granted for a remodel. And so we have the opportunity to completely start over, consider a remodel, in which case, I don't know if we'll get a variance or not, but it feels like that's almost a better chance, and we're closer to the lake than by doing that. So
A remodel in the same footprint.
I understand, yeah, a remodel in the same footprint. But
Madam Chair, if I could, so Steve, so are you saying that you would propose a building in the same footprint, but doing an addition of 2 feet on either side?
And back.
And then backwards? So you'd keep your existing is what you would say, that would be your alternative?
Right.
But you need to remove the structure that you have. You couldn't add on to what you have now because of this. The damage wouldn't make that feasible, correct?
We'd be able to save enough of it, I think, to, yeah, again, I don't know, I guess what's considered a remodel, but we wouldn't be, we'd have to keep the foundation, right?
So I think from a terminology standpoint, when you talk about a remodel, what we're talking about, so state statute has provision that says that a non-conforming structure can be replaced in its current footprint with just a permit. It doesn't have to come to this board for approval. You can just do that with a permit, and you could walk away, and we could be working on a permit next week to start you rebuilding what you have in your footprint. If you want to make any sort of additions to it just because of its location, means that this board then gets to weigh in on those decisions. What I kind of hear, I think what I'm hearing Sue say, and just correct me if I'm wrong, Sue, I think you're saying is that if the front of the structure meets the rear of the structure, that's kind of a spot where you're thinking that there could be some agreement there that might make sense. Is that what that's kind of what I heard you, I think that's what I heard you say, would that be correct?
If they're gonna scrape and rebuild, move that structure back so most of the proposed addition is within that envelope. That moves that whole structure back.
Yep, and so I think what they're asking for is there a number that you guys have be 75 feet from the lake, be 80? I think that's what they're asking. I'm not saying that you have to give them that, but I think that's the question he's asking is.
I would love to, rather than, like, we came today anxious and unsure of what is going to happen, and if we were able to walk away and know that if you came to us with this, we'd say yes to that, we'd be interested in.
Does the board feel comfortable coming up with some type of recommendation?
Madam Chair, I'm not comfortable with that. I don't know what's the width of, what's the size of the existing structure? Looking on the survey.
You talking length or width?
Is it 24?
No, 60-ish, the width.
Well, that's the one they're not doing. I mean, of the new certificate that,
So the existing structure today, you're asking about the width? Is that what you're asking?
yeah, what is it,
It's 24 feet wide, and then width-wise would be 28 plus 16
so they're
plus
asking
30,
for
58.
57. Like to put 24 onto that, that comes up to 81, an 80-foot setback potential. I'm not comfortable doing that, but
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I may, we're doing what I despise doing,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
doing this kind of planning here in a meeting. So the only guidance I would offer would be this, and see if it flies. Sue is saying to try to get the majority of the addition within the buildable area. That might not be perfect. You might not be able to. We can't tell if you slide things back in the existing garage, et cetera. So she's saying try to get the majority of the addition within the buildable area. And that's the area that's within the variance, right? Because that's what we have control of. Not replacing the footprint, but the variance for the addition. And that's, I think, about the best guidance we're going to offer. We can't say if you come in at 92, you're going to get approved. We just can't. So that'd be my best guidance based on what Sue is asking that I support.
So we can table this, make a motion to table, or we can take action on this request as is.
Well, if we're done with discussion, I'm going to offer a motion to table it with the understanding that the applicant kind of gets the gist of what we're saying and
We're
will
not
be able-
designers, we're not architects,
Yeah,
we're not
exactly.
builders.
The gist of what we're saying and can come back next month. So I kind of see a nod, so I'm going to move to table.
There's a motion on the floor to table this.
I'll second it.
There's a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion to table is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be in contact with you next week to talk about next steps.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next applicant would be Joan Brand for a variance. Joan Brand. They're online. Joan, if you can unmute your microphone and state your name and address for the record, please. Joan Brand, can you unmute your microphone and state your name and address for the record, please?
Madam Chair, it's Dan Carlson.
Dan Carlson is the representative, is what I was just told. Dan, if you can unmute your microphone and state your name and address for the record, please. I heard a little something right there. I'm not sure what that was.
We go to the next one.
Move on to the next one.
Oh, we can barely hear him. Hold on.
Just hold on, Dan. We're trying to figure out something on our end to make the speaker work better. Nope, still not.
Can we go ahead and move on to the next applicant?
Hello.
There we go.
Hello.
That's better.
Yep. Hello.
There
Yep.
we
Can
go.
you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Great.
Thank you. Can you state your name and address for the record, please, Dan?
Yep. Dan Carlson, 4448 Cosette Lane, Hugo, Minnesota, 55038.
Thank you. Nicolette, can you read the request into the record, please? I think you're going to have to mute your microphone when you're not speaking because we're getting feedback. And then once you speak again, you'll have to turn it back on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair. Tonight, the property owner is Joan Brand, authorized agent Dan Carlson, parcel number 501-10621. Address is 16243 Brighton Point Road in Deerwood, and this is in Bay Lake Township. The request tonight is a proposal that involves a complete tear down and reconstruction of an existing non-conforming cabin on Bay Lake to build a new 1,065 square foot cabin. The applicant is requesting the following variances. A north property line setback of 7 feet where 10 is required. South property line setback of 9 feet where 10 is required. Lake setback of 32 feet where 100 is required, and a type 2 septic system holding tank where a type 1 septic system is required. This property is located on Bay Lake, which is a recreational development lake and has a 100-foot setback. Brighton Point Road is just west of County Road 10, and this property is within the Shoreland District, and it is surrounded by shoreland and residential uses. This parcel was platted in 1924, as it is narrower and shallower than the current ordinance requirements. The new structure is similar in footprint to existing with approximately 20 square foot difference. There is no buildable envelope on this property. I want to show you quick, okay, if you want to go to this property was platted in 1924. I'm just going to show you the quick plat map to identify what is here to the north. And this is actually a 33-foot landing that was platted in 1924 for road access for the public, for people. And so this 10-foot setback here isn't into a property, it is to undeveloped road access. Just wanted to be clear about that. A stormwater management plan has been submitted by the applicant and is on page 76 in your packet. Noting some on-site comments from the board, the shoreline is rip-wrapped, additional vegetation plantings would be beneficial. The increased side yard encroachment remains a concern. The site has significant stormwater issues, and those were all the comments from the on-sites. But we did receive a comment from the township today recommending disapproval. They advise that the house be shifted to align with the setback of the home to the southeast, which is down here, and they state that it's about approximately 15 feet further back than this house's current location. No comments were received from other agencies or the public. If the board does approve this application tonight, staff would like to recommend the following conditions. 1, a land use permit be approved by Land Services prior to construction. 2, an erosion and sediment control plan submitted at the time of permitting using approved best management practices. 3, a stormwater management plan meeting Article 41 standards. And 4, once construction is complete, a final as-built survey submitted to the county. I can answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for staff? Go ahead, John.
Madam Chair, the condition 4, can you help me again? I think I asked this once before this came up. Explain the difference between a type 2 and a type 1 septic, and why we prefer type 1, because that's what's required in our ordinance.
A type 2 septic system is going to be a holding tank or a privy, where it's just like one contained tank that would have to be pumped. A type 1 septic system is going to have a septic tank and a drain field. So it would be able to filter the waste on its own, essentially, whereas a holding tank would need to be serviced frequently. And so that's why we prefer or want type 1 septic systems on riparian lots. It's for lake quality, and they're less likely to fail or
And plus, as a reminder, the state statute 394 does state that for lots that are non-conforming, which would be this lot here, they're required to have, they'd have to meet setbacks, and they'd have to have a type 1 septic to be able to get a permit. And so they can't meet setbacks, so they need a variance for this one, but they also need that type 1, so that's why they need a variance for the type 2 system as well. There's no room on the lot to put a septic system on here.
And Madam Chair, if I can ask, and does it matter if a structure is seasonal, year-round, Is that a factor in our consideration?
I don't think it is, but at the same time, I think you can take into account the magnitude of what's being constructed and built before you as far as the holding tank would be reasonable or not. Because if it's got a really small lot and they're possibly putting a structure that's, maybe really pushing the 25% impervious, you could say, well, we're not sure that's too big of a structure for, say, a holding tank. I don't think that applies in this situation, but it could down the road, I would say.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question for staff.
Yes?
Is there, in our packet, on this certificate of survey, is the approximate septic tank location. We have no setback from that septic tank location to the proposed house. Is there documentation that says this property will not support a type 1 septic system, so therefore a type 2 is going to be required? Where the tank is, where the setback from the house to the tank is. If we take the township recommendation and move it back and get it out of shore impact zone 1, back to that 50-foot setback, okay? Is that tank then meeting the required setback to the dwelling? We have no documentation on any of that. I'm not sure, I'm not comfortable granting a variance for something we have no idea where it's going to be really located on the property and what the setbacks are.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just maybe to Sue's point that I hadn't thought of, but she makes a really good point. To get a variance for a type 2, right, that's what's requested. Shouldn't we have documentation that says the required type 1 is not feasible? And do we, I guess?
Yeah, so Madam Chair, I did reach out to Tom Antonsen, who was the septic designer for the original holding tank in 2024, and sent him the information that we had so we can just refresh his memory and he could get back to me his thoughts, and he has not gotten back to me yet as a determination or his professional opinion.
So the answer is we don't have any documentation as of today, tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could put something up on the screen to look at?
Yes.
So Madam Chair, if you look, just doing a quick scaling here using my pointer as a scale ruler, which isn't super accurate, but pretty close. If we push this, it would be, if we push this back, this would be another 20 feet from here. This would be 10 feet to here. So if you slid it back another 20 feet approximately, which would get you to 52 feet, you would still have plenty of room to meet the 10-foot setback to that tank with some wiggle room in there. So I think there would be room to slide it back to, say, 50 feet and still meet setbacks to that tank. And just, Madam Chair, just looking at the lot, it's a 6,500 square foot lot. A conforming lot today will be 40,000 square feet. So, we're dramatically less than what would be allowed. So to be able to truly put a septic system on here with a drain field, I don't think it's feasible.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff?
Yes, Madam Chair. So long discussion on the staff report. It would be, if we moved it back, it wouldn't be feasible to have a drain field? Is that what you just?
I would say in its current location, I think it wouldn't even be feasible to put a drain field on there. But if you move it back under 20 feet, then there's absolutely no room for it.
So the staff determination is this lot cannot support a drain field, period. That's the staff's determination.
That's my opinion based on the size of the lot and what I'm seeing. I don't think, because you got to be 20 feet from the house, 10, I just don't see where you could get a drain field on this property.
Even if we removed any setbacks for a drain field?
Correct, because yeah, I mean, at the same time, we could wait to hear from the designer next month so that we have, he'll know where the wells are, and, because there's other things on there with that drain field that we're not aware of as far as where well location might be on neighboring properties, and that always has an impact on setbacks as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does the applicant have anything they'd like to add? Dan?
Yes, I do. Significant trees, if we do move it back, there's a number of significant trees would have to go down. Just want to bring that to the attention. That's all I have to mention on that.
Any other comments from the applicant? That's it?
Nope, no
Okay.
other comments at this
Okay,
time.
thank you. Okay, at this time then, we'll open it up for public testimony. Is there anyone in the courtroom who'd like to address this application? Anyone? Seeing no one, we can check and see online. I don't believe there's anyone online either, so we'd bring it back to the board for additional discussion and potential action.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I personally would like to see a design done for the tank. I'd like to see documentation from a designer saying, without moving it back, they could put a drain field in. Even if they, moving it back, we know will eliminate the fact that they won't have room for a drain field. But having the actual setbacks from the neighboring wells and all of that, that's missing on this certificate of survey, I think, I would personally like to see it postponed for that additional information.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Chair, I agree with Sue, because there's some trade-offs here. Let's say we can't get a drain field, which I personally would like to see confirmed, because I think it's important on a lake to have a type 1 if we can, right? For all the reasons it's an ordinance requirement. And so would we not push it back to get the trade-off of a drain field? So there's a couple of design considerations here, otherwise we push it back. And I think we need that. And I'd say the takeaway I would have is I'm going to be oriented to pushing it back to that 52 feet. If we're not going to have a drain field, so that would be feedback in terms of what could come back. But my priority would be to get a drain field if it was feasible. So I would also support tabling it.
Thank you. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, it sounds like we can entertain a motion potential motion to table.
So moved.
The motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Your request has been tabled, and you can maybe get in touch with staff and they can give you the next steps.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Our next applicant is Salvatore Spacito for a variance. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Salvatore Esposito, and the property in question is 29015 County Road 3, Mission Township.
Thank you. And Nicolette, can you read the request into the record, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, tonight we have property owner Salvatore Spacito, parcel number 77190644. Address is 29015 County Road 3 in Merrifield, and this is in Mission Township. The request is a proposal a proposed project that includes constructing a 1,836 square foot addition to the existing dwelling. To accommodate this addition, the applicant is requesting a variance for a lake setback of 123 feet, where 150 feet is required. This property is located on Young Lake, which is a natural environment lake and has a setback of 150 feet. This property is just off of County Road 3, south of Cross Lake. It is in the Shoreland District, and it is surrounded by shoreland and commercial zoning and uses. Let's go to page 65 for the survey. The existing home is 139 feet from the ordinary high water of Hanks Lake. And the existing attached garage is at 132 feet. The applicant plans to remove this breezeway and move this garage here to this relocated location on the survey. The new addition will be in line with the existing house. However, due to the curvature of the lake, the setback is proposed to be at 123 feet. A 4-bedroom septic design has been received and approved for this application, and it is meeting all setback requirements, and it is a type 1 system. Noting some on-site comments from the board, the lot slopes towards the lake. Stormwater management will be necessary. A shoreline indentation appears to be driving the variance need, and adjacent properties have similar structures and setbacks. No comments were received from the township, and no comments were received from either agencies or the public. If the board does approve this application tonight, staff would like to recommend the 4 following conditions. A land use permit be approved by Land Services prior to construction. An erosion and sediment control plan submitted at the time of permitting. A stormwater management plan submitted at the time of permitting, meeting Article 41 standards. And number 4, once construction is complete, a final as-built survey must be submitted to verify all variance conditions and elevation requirements. I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Nicolette. Any questions for staff from the board? Hearing none, do you have anything that you'd like to add, sir?
None that comes to mind here. No, nothing really. My neighbor had some questions about my comments that I made in the DRT meeting about possible campsites and things, and that was in question. I have no intentions of making a campground out of it or anything. I'm simply looking to get that approved so I can add on to the existing structure and try to improve the home and make it my permanent residence eventually.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we will open this up for public testimony. Is there anyone in the courtroom who wishes to address this application? Anyone? Seeing no one, I check online, and I do not believe there's anyone online either, so we would bring it back to the board for further discussion and potential action.
I have no, Madam Chair, you look at the survey, there's a very small building envelope. This is an existing structure. The proposed addition's in line with the existing house, and as staff stated, the shoreline curves in, that's where the difference in the setback comes from. If it wasn't for that, it would be the same setback as what the existing house is. So I have no issues for this, and I'm ready to make a motion if everybody else is.
If that's the case, please proceed.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to approve the variance for lake setback of 123 feet where 150 feet is required to propose addition to construct a 1,836 square foot addition to the existing dwelling based on the findings of facts completed by the staff, the application submitted, the staff report, and the on-site visit with the 4 conditions that are also in the staff report.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Andy. Further discussion? If you want to refer to the findings of fact, they're on 107. Hearing no further discussion, before we take action on this, I need to just ask you a few things. Sir, do you understand what's being approved tonight?
Yes, the variance that I've requested in the footprint of the proposed structure.
And do you understand the conditions that are required as part of this approval?
Yes, I read through it. I don't have memorized, but the stormwater plan that I'll have to have, and then submit the permit,
Okay.
finalize, yeah.
And the next question is, you understand that you must obtain a permit now from Land Services before any construction would begin?
Yes, Madam Chair.
And then do you understand what is being approved tonight is final? Any future changes to what is being approved tonight, such as structure size, height, or location, must be approved by this board. This means that you would be required to submit a new application, pay the appropriate fees, and provide an updated survey and any other required information with the new request. Staff cannot modify or change what's been approved by this board.
Yes, understood. Thank you.
Okay, we then will proceed with the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you all very much for your time. Have a good day.
You do the same. Thanks so much. Our next applicant would be Ted Jarrell. Don't know if I'm close on that last name, hopefully. Jarrell? Jurley. Wasn't even close. Sorry about that. Ted Jurley.
And I'm actually Colin Jacobs with Marca Architecture in Nisswa.
Okay. Thank you. And Nicolette, can you read the request into the record, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have property owner Ted Jurley, authorized agent Colin Jacobs, parcel number is 681-20545. The address is 37229 Fern Trail in Cross Lake, and this is in Ideal Township. The request is a proposal that includes a 408 square foot addition to the existing non-conforming structure, expanding the screen porch and the front entry and incorporating a partial second story addition. To allow this project, the applicant is requesting a variance for a lake setback of 54 feet where 75 feet is required. This property is located on Lower Whitefish, which is a general development lake with a 75-foot setback. This property is off of Silver Peak Road, just west of Cross Lake. This property is within the Shoreland District and is surrounded by shoreland and residential uses. As you're looking through the packet, I'm going to go through to page 117, which is the second survey in your packet because it shows the additions. The existing home is 54 feet from the OHW of Lower Whitefish Lake, and the proposed addition will continue that existing setback. I'm going to jump down quick to page 119 in your packet, and this shows a very good depiction of what the additions are proposed to be for this home. The applicant is proposing to build the second story addition here over the existing. And then they're going to expand the porch, and I called this front entry.
Correct.
Okay. So just to point out these sections that are on the survey. The second story addition would be essentially over here. You would have the front entry addition and then expanding that screen porch. A 4-bedroom septic design has been received and approved for this proposal, and the septic system will meet all ordinance requirements. Noting some on-site comments from the board, the shoreline is well vegetated and includes riprap. The proposed addition does not move the structure any closer to the lake, and nearby properties have similar structures with similar setbacks. A comment was received from the township recommending approval and noting that the addition did not go any closer to the lake. No comments were received from other agencies or the public. If the board does approve this application tonight, staff would like to recommend the 4 following conditions. A land use permit be approved by Land Services prior to construction, an erosion and sediment control plan submitted at the time of permitting, a stormwater plan submitted at the time of permitting meeting all of Article 41 standards, and number 4, once construction is complete, a final as-built survey must be submitted to Land Services to verify all setbacks and elevations. I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Do you have anything that you'd like to add, sir?
No, that's a great review.
Okay, thank you. At this time, then, we will open up the request for public testimony. Is there anyone in the courtroom who would like to address this application? Anyone? Double check to see if there's anyone online, and I do not believe there is, so we will bring it back to the board for further discussion and potential action on this request.
Madam Chair, could I put up the findings, please?
Findings of fact are on page 141 of your packet.
141.
I would just like to have the findings reflect that the township recommended approval on this on 6/12.
Thank you for that addition. Any other comments or additions regarding the findings of fact? Any further discussion?
If none, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance for lake setback of 54 feet where 75 feet is required to construct a 408 square foot addition to include a partial second story addition based on the findings of facts completed by staff, the application submitted, staff report, the on-site visit, the certificate of survey in the staff report, along with the 4 conditions in the staff report.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Okay, further discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Do you have his questions?
Oh.
The questions?
Oh, yes, I got ahead of myself. Sorry about that. I do need to ask you the questions. Do you understand what's being approved tonight?
Yes.
And you understand the conditions that are required that were referred to as part of this approval? And do you understand that you must obtain permits now from the Land Services Department before any construction begins?
Yes.
And you understand what's being approved tonight is final. Any future changes to what is being approved tonight, such as structure size, height, or location, must be approved by this board. This means that you would be required to submit a new application, pay the appropriate fees, and provide an updated survey and any other required information with the new request.
Yes.
Staff cannot modify or change what's been approved by this board. Okay, now we will ask for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Your variance is approved. Thank you. Our next applicant this evening is Jay and Judy Gilchrist for a conditional use permit.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Jay Gilchrist, 25257 Eagle Ridge Road, Aiken, Minnesota.
Thank you. And can you read this request into the record, please, Nicolette?
Yes. Parcel, thanks. Parcel number 872-90538. The address is 25257 Eagle Ridge Road in Aiken, and this is in Rabbit Lake Township. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to complete approximately 1,246 cubic yards of dirt moving within Shore Impact Zone 1 on Rabbit Lake, a general development lake. Dirt moving over 30 cubic yards in Shore Impact Zone 1 requires a conditional use permit under the Land Use Ordinance, Article 11.21. This property is located on Eagle Ridge Road, just north of the east of city of Cuyuna. This property is within the Shoreland District and is zoned by shoreland and residential uses. This property includes a historic ice ridge with a depression area that was previously thought to be a wetland. A wetland professional determined the wet area to be incidental, meaning man-made. The wet area was created in the early 1900s during the mining of Rabbit Lake. During the mining era, a miner's road was created by digging out a section along the lake to build up the road. If you can kind of see it here in the contours, this is approximately the area as it comes through here that is flat to come across. And what they did was they dug out this area. And I think I have a page here. I'll show you a photo. On 154. So approximately where we're standing to take this picture is where the old Miners Road was. They dug out all of this area to build this up so that way they could complete it to go across. The applicant's intent is to stabilize the shoreline, correct an incidental wetland, and create a safer, gradual slope to the lake. The applicant shows the existing grade on this portion of the survey, indicating where that incidental wetland is, the steep slope, and where that Miners Road was. This is indicating the modified fill area, just showing that he's not trying to make it flat, he's just trying to make it safe with a safer grade to prevent erosion as well. On the left side of the survey, the applicant has provided a revegetation plan for Shore Impact Zone 1. Intensive vegetation removal is limited to 30% lot width and 25 feet landward per Article 11.20B. Once the proposed revegetation plan is established, the property will be in compliance with this requirement. Some on-site comments from the board. There were concerns regarding the slope stability. Erosion was visible on site. Owner has plans to have some grading and hydroseeding done within the next week or two to fix the current erosion areas. A stormwater management plan should be required, and the property owner plans to grade below the ice ridge to reduce runoff. No comments were received from the township, and no comments were received from the public. One comment was received from the DNR on 6/17 recommending 2 conditions. The first was to set aside, aside from the permitted 15-foot access cut to the lake, an allowance for up to 30% intensive vegetation removal within Shore Impact Zone 1. The existing ice ridge must remain undisturbed, including its vegetation and natural elevation. No grading allowed. And the second was the planting and vegetation plan shown on sheet 2, the grading exhibit, must be fully implemented by the permit expiration date or upon substantial completion of the project, whichever occurs first. If the board does approve this application tonight, staff would like to recommend 5 conditions with the addition of the DNR's 2 recommended conditions, totaling 7 conditions. I just listed off the 2 from the DNR that we would like to add. The other 5 would be, the first condition would state that the conditional use permit is for 1,246 cubic yards of dirt moving. The second would allow county staff to access the property to perform inspections to verify compliance with the conditional use. Third, the applicant must obtain a shoreline alteration permit or have the existing permit amended, including these plans. 4, an erosion and sediment control plan submitted at the time of permitting. We would just have that updated and include that. And then we'll also do a stormwater management plan at that time too. Those would be the 7 conditions proposed by staff. I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Do you have anything you'd like to add, sir?
I do not. Thank you for all taking the time to visit and seeing the familiar faces, so I appreciate it.
Okay. We'll open it up for public testimony then. Is there anyone in the courtroom who would like to address this application? Anyone? Seeing no one, I'll double check to see if there's anyone online, and I don't believe so. So we will bring it back to the board for further discussion and potential action on this request.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If there's no discussion,
Put
I
the
would
findings up, please.
The findings are
findings
on
up.
164. There we go.
Do you have any changes?
No.
Okay,
I'd just like to have them up there.
Yep.
before we-
agreed.
Go
Madam
ahead.
Chair, so I would offer a motion to approve the conditional use permit for the 1,246 cubic yards of dirt moving in SIZ 1, with the 7 conditions now that are attached to that permit, based on the survey and the staff report and the on-site visit comments.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. Any further discussion? Any? Hearing none, before we take final action on your conditional use permit application, I need to verify 3 items with you. Do you understand what is being approved tonight?
I do.
And do you understand the conditions that are required as part of this approval?
Yes.
And do you understand that what is being approved tonight is final?
Yes.
Any future changes to what is being approved tonight must be approved by this board. This means that you would be required to submit a new application, pay the appropriate fees, and provide an updated survey and any other required information with the new request. Staff cannot modify or change what has been approved by this board. Okay, we will then proceed with the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next applicant is Americo Real Estate Company to amend an existing conditional use permit. Good afternoon. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you. Glad to see you guys again. Sorry I missed your site visit, but Josh said he took care of you.
Did my best.
And if you state your name and address for the record, please.
Lucia Bean West from Blaine, Minnesota.
Thank you.
Josh. Josh Thorngren, Blaine, Minnesota.
Thank you. And Nicolette, can you read the request into the record, please?
I do believe I have someone online as well.
Oh, there's someone online as well? Okay. And who is that online?
Should be Sahithia. No one popped in? Okay.
We'll watch and see. And see if they come in. Okay, Nicolette, do you want to proceed with reading the request into the record?
Yes, Madam Chair. Tonight we have property owner Americo Real Estate Company, also known as U-Haul. Parcel number 99250566. The address is 16707 State Highway 371 in Brainerd, and this is in First Assessment Township. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit amendment to revise the approved conditional use permit in 2025. This property is located off of State Highway 371, just north of the County Road 77 and 371 intersection. This property is zoned commercial, and it is surrounded by mainly commercial with some residential uses as well. On page 173, you'll find the certificate of survey. And the conditional use that was approved in August 2025 was approved for the following: 6 new commercial storage buildings with individual units, 1 existing commercial storage building for U-Box storage, 3 commercial storage for outside storage, 3 commercial storage buildings for outside storage, and 1 self-storage building for owner use. The amendment includes adding 2 additional commercial storage buildings for a total of 8 storage buildings. 6 were previously approved. 1 building at 2,246 square feet offering 22 units. 4 buildings at 2,603 square feet offering 20 units each. Those are these. And then 3 large buildings at 23,812 square feet having 180 units each in them. They also modified the previous layout for storage buildings and oriented the RV canopy, there we go, and areas for improved access and getting out of this 150-foot setback. They also relocated the stormwater basin due to the site layout change. Jack's Lake is over here. This is a natural environment lake. At the time of the wetland delineation, the DNR determined that this inlet was actually directly connected to the lake, which would mean that this little finger right here was also connected to the lake. This line here indicates the 150-foot setback. Their amendment changed, so this change pushed everything out, meeting that 150-foot setback, so there would be no outside storage within that area. I do also want to point out here that this line, let me go up a little bit. There we go. This line right here, sorry, this is lagged. This is the shoreline protection zone. So this zone identifies the first 500 feet within the lake. For commercial properties, we have a impervious threshold of 30% within this protection zone area. And they have an impervious percentage of 19.6% within this shoreline protection zone. The next area is 500 to 1,000 square feet, and we call that the shoreline buffer zone. The shoreline buffer zone for commercial properties has a 35% impervious threshold, and they are at 34% in this area for their impervious percentage. This line right here represents the non-shoreland area. So non-shoreland area for commercial properties can have 60% impervious, and they are at, let's see, 35.7% impervious with this amended request in that area. I also want to point out that this property, based on ordinance requirements of Article 17, could have up to 1,328 total lockers. That is not what they are asking for today, but that is the total lockers that they could have on this property. Noting some on-site comments from the board, the proposal appears to be consistent with the original plan. No comments were received from other agencies or the public. If the board does approve this application tonight, staff would like to recommend the 12 following conditions. These conditions are the same as the previously approved, other than a slight change to condition 1 and then adding condition 2 and 3. They are the following. The first condition states that the conditional use permit is for one building at 2,246 square feet with 22 units. 4 buildings at 2,603 square feet, 20 units each in those buildings. 3 large buildings at 23,812 square feet, having 188 units each in each of the 3 buildings. Internal size of the units can differ, provided that the applicant notifies land services in writing. The overall size of the buildings are limited to what is approved. Any changes in the building size would require an amendment to the CUP. Number 2, staff must be allowed to access the property to perform inspections and verify compliance with the conditional use permit. 3, a land use permit must be obtained to land services prior to construction of any of the features. 4, the storage units are for renting or leasing only. 5, no habitation or overnight stays allowed in any of the units. 6, a stormwater management plan submitted at the time of permitting, meeting Article 41 standards. 7, an erosion and sediment control plan submitted at the time of permitting using approved best management practices. 8, building size shall be limited to the size listed on the certificate of survey dated 5/13/26. 9, the maximum building height shall be 45 feet. 10, on-site signage must conform to Article 40 of the land use ordinance. And 11, must conform to all requirements found in Article 16 of the land use ordinance. And 12, any permitted outdoor light fixtures shall be directed downward. I can answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the board for staff? Is there anything that you'd like to add? Okay. At this time, we'll open it up to public testimony. Is there anyone in here who would like to address this application? Anyone? Seeing no one, I'll double check, and I don't believe there's anyone online either, so we would bring it back to the board for further discussion and action.
Madam Chair, could I just mention something quick?
Sure.
This is an amended conditional use permit, so when we add potential or amend potential conditions for an amended CUP, the applicant has to agree to that. And so we did amend condition 1, and then we added 2 and 3. And we have sent that ahead of time so they're aware of the conditions, and we just want for you to just let us know that you agree with the conditions as they've been supplied as part of the amendment.
We do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Back to the board for any further discussion.
Madam Chair, just a clarification on potential condition 1, point D. They can change the size of the units, but the total number of units is as specified in A, B, and C, and that cannot change. Is that correct? Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Not, we can entertain a motion. The findings of fact are on page 190. We can show those.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to amend the existing conditional use permit, adding 2 new commercial storage buildings with individual units for a total of 8 commercial storage buildings, 6 commercial storage buildings previously approved by the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment. Based on the findings of facts in the staff report, the on-site that was conducted, certificate of survey in the staff report, along with the 12 conditions in the staff report.
The motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
The second, further discussion? Hearing none, before we take final action on your conditional use permit amendment, I need to verify 3 items. Do you agree with what is being approved tonight?
Yes.
You agreed to the conditions that I know that Chris just mentioned that are required as part of this approval? And do you agree that what is being approved tonight is final? Any future changes to what is being approved tonight must be approved by this board, and this would mean that you would be required to submit a new application, pay the appropriate fees, and provide an updated survey and any other required information with the new request.
I do.
Staff cannot modify or change what's been approved by this board. With that understanding, we'll proceed with the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much for your time.
And thank you for saving my jacket.
We've been watching it for about a year.
We'll take
Only
it.
been a year, so yeah.
Our next applicant would be Adney Exchange Holding Company, LLC, for a preliminary plat. Hi. Hello. If you'd state your name and address for the record, please.
Tony Becker, and address is 18835 Marie Lane, Crosby, Minnesota, 56441.
Thank you. Nicolette, can you read the request into the record, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have property owner Adney Exchange Holding, LLC, or Tony Becker, parcel number 603-20512. The address is 18835 Mary Lane in Crosby, and this is in Fairfield Township. The request tonight is a preliminary plat, Adney Lake Conservancy with 2 total lots. Let's gonna go to page 196. This property is located on the north side of Adney Lake, a general development lake. It's on the west side of State Highway 6 and east of the city of Cross Lake city boundary. This property is within the Shoreland District and is surrounded by shoreline and residential uses. Both lots exceed the minimum standards for general development lakes. Let's zoom out so you can see what I'm talking about here. The required minimum lot size for a general development lake is 30,000 square feet in size. Lot 1 has 315,568 square feet, and Lot 2 has 1,003,050 square feet. The buildable area exceeds the minimum 12,000 square feet for both proposed lots, and both lots exceed the minimum 100 feet in lot width. The plat includes all required survey elements in Article 9.6F. There's adequate 66-foot legal access via Mary Lane for both lots. And at next month's public hearing, that is when Lot 2 is scheduled for review for a conditional use permit application, as well as the preliminary plat for the conservation design development. No comments were received from the township, and no comments were received from other agencies. One comment was received from the public in opposition, citing loon habitat concerns, shore impact zone protections, and the potential impacts to the lake's natural character. If the board does approve this application tonight, staff would like to recommend the 5 following conditions. 1, a final plat submitted within 12 months of the county board preliminary approval. 2, all required subdivision improvements, Article 9.8, are implemented. 3, if soil disturbance is greater than 1 acre, a MPCA-approved SWIP is required prior to any construction or clearing. 4, final documentation of all plat monuments. And 5, a title commitment must be provided prior to final plat. I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions for staff on this?
Madam Chair, if I can, just process-wise, so in front of us is a preliminary plat for 2 lots, standard development, right? The one that's on the schedule for next month will supersede this preliminary plat because it will be a new plat for the same lots. Is that right?
Correct. So it'd be like the first addition to, yes.
Okay. And that's the one that has the conservation considerations? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Do you have anything that you'd like to add?
I do. Just like to say something really quick here. First of all, thank you all for having me, and thanks for coming out and seeing the property. Appreciate it. I'll be real quick here, and then we can get into it. Tony Becker, I'm a conservationist and outdoorsman, which is why we named the subplat how it is, Adney Lake Conservancy. My wife and I used to have a cabin on Adney Lake. We fell in love with it back then. Since then, we sold that and we purchased this property to construct a home and guest cottage on it and plan to live here permanently in the future, surrounded by nature. We, along with others on the lake, are excited that we have the opportunity to preserve and restore this property from more intense development. I saw a public comment that was concerned about the variance on the road, which has already been there, and this is a small existing road that was approved by the county 50 years ago for property owner access. We can talk more about that, but we have no intention of using it any differently than it's been used in the past. We plan to build on only 0.287% of the total 40-acre parcel. For specificity, it is about 38 and change. We also plan to remove an existing cabin that's on site and clean up other garbage and rubbish that's on the site. I will make a comment that is our goal and to actually reduce the impact on wildlife from what has been practiced in the site in the past. This property has been used traditionally for farming in the past for years. As with most farmland comes tillage, fertilizing, and runoff into the lake, and very much adverse impacts to nature and wildlife itself. There was active tillage all the way until fall 2025 before we owned it. We are now converting that farmland into natural grassland and also replanting the forest that was once more prevalent based on old satellite imagery. We plan to restore that based on the imagery itself so that it would go back to its natural habitat. Additionally, we are working with Minnesota Forestry Division and Prairie Restorations in order to achieve this. That's 8.5 acres or 21% of the total parcel that were in farmland practices, and we're looking to restore that. After restoration, 99.7% of the property itself will be given back to nature, and the rest of 0.3 roughly we'll be using for our house and guest cottage. It's our intention to keep this in our family for generations and educate the future generations about the importance of living with nature and creating habitat for wildlife. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we will open up the request for public testimony. Is there anyone in the courtroom who would like to address this application? Anyone? Seeing no one, I will double check to see if there is anyone online. And there is not, so we will bring it back to the board for further discussion and action on this request. Any discussion?
No?
We can put up the findings of fact. Those are on 212. And
Well,
entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, before I do that, I would just say we had discussion on the site visit about preserving the property, so I appreciate the comments, and I think there'll be more discussion next month relative to that. But I don't have any issues with this, so I would move a recommendation to the county board for approval of the preliminary plat Adney Lake Conservancy with 2 total lots based on the survey that has been submitted and reviewed, the findings of fact, and with the five potential conditions stated in the staff report.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, before we do take final action on your preliminary plat request, I need to verify 2 items with you. Do you understand that tonight we are making a recommendation to the county board to approve your preliminary plat request?
I do.
And the county board does have final approval over this request, and the meeting is going to be
July 14th.
July 14th at 9 a.m. in this room. And do you understand that the required conditions placed on this preliminary plat must be completed before applying for the final plat request?
Yes.
Okay, we'll then proceed with the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for your time and
For your
patience.
time. Appreciate it.
See you next month.
Yep.
Our last applicant this evening would be Daniel Malinowski for a land use map amendment. Good afternoon, and thanks for your patience. Someone has to be last.
It's Ronald Malinowski. Daniel is my oldest son,
Okay,
so he's on the paperwork.
okay. And if you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Andrew Malinowski, County Road 25, 14194, Brainerd.
Thank you.
Kimberly Larson, 4768 Fairview Road, Baxter, Minnesota. I'm a daughter, he's a grandson.
Thank you very much. Nicola, can you read the request into the record, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, tonight we have property owner, so I'm just gonna just pause really quick. And so we have 1/8 ownership, I'm just gonna call it the Malinowskis.
Okay.
So we have the Malinowskis here as the property owner and the applicant. Parcel number is 900-30510, and this is in St. Matthias Township. And the request tonight is a land use map amendment to change from ag forestry to rural residential 10. And this property is located on the corner trail just northwest of the intersection of Sleepy Hollow Road and St. Matthias Road here. To the north of the property is Crow Wing Township. This is the Crow Wing line here. And I did contact Crow Wing Township to see what their adjacent zoning was on these parcels, and they did say that it was zoned ag forestry as well. This property is zoned ag forestry, and it is surrounded by mainly agricultural forestry and rural residential 5 to the east. So here's this property. There's a little bit of shoreland. This is the ag forestry, and this is the rural residential 5. The applicant wishes to split the parcel into 2 15-acre pieces, giving or selling 1 15-acre piece to his grandson. A comment was received from the township on May 4th, 2026, recommending denial of the request, with a comment that the township board would recommend no less than 15-acre lots, which would be consistent with the township's comp plan of maintaining agricultural rural character. I just want to note that the applicant's request of an amendment to rural residential 10 is the largest zoning the applicant can have that would allow this property to be split into 2 15-acre pieces. The next step up from rural residential 10 is ag forestry, which has a minimum lot size of 35 acres. There were no other comments received from agencies or the public, and there are no recommended conditions with this request. I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Is there anything that you'd like to add?
Well, they tell me, well, I bought the farm in 1975. And in 2003, put a house on that 34 acres. It's actually a little over 34 acres.
And it was pasture when I bought it. And I got rid of the cattle, so now it's hay ground. I'm using it for hay.
Thank you.
I had a comment as well. So with it being 34 acres, it would actually be, where would the other 2 acres go?
So that's a good question, Madam Chair. So we just updated our zoning map, and I believe it was December of '24. December of '24 is when we updated our zoning map. And so your property, if you were to split it or make a new one today, it would have to meet those requirements. So we would consider this more of like,
What you're gonna do is just split it in half.
Yeah.
Just basically 1770.
So 17,
Yeah.
17. That was my question.
Or it could be 19, whatever, however you want to make it.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other comments? Anything else you'd like to add? Okay, well, we'll open it up to public testimony, and there's no one in the courtroom, and I don't believe there's anyone online, so that brings it back to the board for further discussion and action on your request.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Could we bring up 219? I think that's the zoning map. So theirs is the light green, right, egg? That's the property. So let's see, one lot over is 5, right? I mean, that's egg, I understand that's egg, but then you got one lot over, you're at RR5, right? And a whole bunch of RR5. So if, there's no 10 in the area, and it's all egg to the north, but, I mean, dividing it in half, how could you do anything? I mean, you could make a case that you could go to RR5. I mean, so I think it's a fairly reasonable proposal. I understand the purpose of it, and it's not harmful to the surrounding zoning, et cetera, and that's kind of my thought.
Thank you. Any other comments or discussion?
Well, and Madam Chair, when you look at the surrounding zoning, going from ag to RR10, it's a natural transition for what's in there. I mean, you look there, yeah, there's RR5 there, but there's little tracts of RR5, which we have no idea if that is a 5-acre parcel or whatever that is. So going to RR10, I have no issues with this. It's a natural transition in the land use classifications.
And Madam Chair, remember that lot that is one over, that's the Marshall property that you recommend that rezone to that. So that's why you see that little carved out acres there in the corner, so.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, we can entertain a motion.
Well, before we do that, I mean, I'm confused with the township's recommendation to deny it. They want 15-acre parcels. That's exactly what they're doing, but I don't know.
Well, I think what the township's afraid of is that if it goes to R10, they could technically create 3 lots. And so I think they're okay with the 2-lot idea, the 15, because that would then meet, but you can't force them to do that. I mean, with the reason, with 10 acres, they get, so.
Yeah.
That was the concerns of the township, so. I think at the end of the day, everyone's gonna get what they want if this gets approved, so.
Yeah.
And the findings of fact are on 230. If we want to bring those up, please.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes.
if there's no more discussion, I am ready to make a motion. Madam Chair, I would like to recommend to the county board, the land use amendment to the county board to go from agricultural forestry to rural residential 10 based on the findings of facts in the staff report.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
A second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, before we take action on your land use map amendment application, I need to verify one item, that you do understand tonight that we're making a recommendation to the county board to approve your land use map amendment request, and the county board does have final approval over this request. And that is understood? July 14th, 9 o'clock here in the morning in this room. Then we will go ahead and proceed with our vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good evening.
You just might make supper.
Okay. Items not on the agenda.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. First, I just want to say, didn't these guys do a great job tonight?
Awesome.
Awesome
Really?
job.
Very good.
And I think with the on-sites that they navigated with you guys a couple weeks ago, and I was unavailable, so it sounds like I may not have to come to these meetings much more. I don't know. It seems like you got a pretty good team over here. So I just really want to point out that they're just doing a really good job and just appreciate the work that they're doing. So Stacy's going to tell you the applications we got for July.
We have 12 applications for July 16th, with our on-sites being June 30th, and there's 7 stops.
So does that 12 include the 2 tabled tonight?
No.
Okay, so how many, so what do we have for the breakdown? How many variances? Do you know how many?
We have 8 variants, 2 CUPs, 2 plats, and then we will have the 2 variances from here, so 14 total.
I was able to make the first date that we changed, but I can't make the second date that we changed for the on-sites.
What was the date again, Stacy?
29th, it was the 29th, and now
It's the
Yep.
30th, and I've got.
We had to move it to that date because we missed the published date. So otherwise we had to do the 2 vehicles again, which I don't think didn't have a lot of fun doing that, it sounds
No.
like. So if we wait till the 30th, that gives us our 10 days to publish, so.
Make the 30th.
I'll be on the 30th.
Andy, you available? Okay, perfect. Well, the last thing, I just want to talk a little bit about that first application that we went through with Wensman. And so that was an application that was submitted last summer and was approved. And when we found that, what we ended up doing immediately was we did a review of every permit we issued in 2025. As soon as we found that would have been in probably early this year, I think, in 26. And so we did a quick review just to make sure we didn't have any other similar situation like that, which we didn't find any permits with any issues. So I know it's no fun to get those, but we issued 1,300 permits last year, and we had one that kind of went south on